Our next speaker is an Indian politician, frequently in government, and for 4 years Minister of External Affairs, in charge of handling that tense relationship between India and Pakistan. Last summer, his independence of mind got him expelled from the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, when he published Jinnah, India, Partition, Independence. The book offended some Indians by the way it praised Pakistan's founder Jinnah and suggested that India's Nehru must shoulder some of the blame for the partition of India. Ladies and gentlemen, Jaswant Singh.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I was struck by a sense of irony as to whether we were discussing the domestic politics of the United States of America and the UK, or we were discussing the reality of the situation as it obtains in reality in the whole of South Asia. There is a larger canvas, and in very brief, I wish to submit to the audience that the whole of the South Asian region lies at the crossroads of 4 collapsed empires. The first of the empires was early 20th century, Qing dynasty. Middle of the century, in 1920s, the first quarter, the Ottoman Empire collapsed or was made to collapse. In the middle of the century, the British Empire withdrew, and at the end, towards the end of the century, the Soviet Empire disintegrated. Each of these empires has left its imprint on the whole of South Asia. There's another reality that needs to be recognized, which is that India and Pakistan and Bangladesh are born of the same womb, but it was not a natural birth, it was a caesarean section. And that caesarean section was a direct consequence of British withdrawal from the scene in the manner in which that was. It was a consequence of Second World War. It is a misnomer to think that it was a peaceful transfer of power, because it resulted in the uprooting of millions, and those lives, it became the most traumatic event of the whole of the 20th century. There is another thing that I wish to submit. This is a very large subcontinent, Mr. Chairman. It's almost 2 billion human beings that we are talking of. You want me to compress the problems of the subcontinent in 9 minutes. It's a very difficult task. I'm struck by what my colleague Farzana Sheikh said. There are 2 or 3 other ironies that we are struck with the situation. It is not a problem of the domestic politics of the United States of America or the UK. I do wish to inquire of the distinguished and gallant general as to when NATO's territorial limits of responsibility have gone up to the Hindu Kush, or when is it that the Atlantic has begun to lap the Hindu Kush? And how is it possible for us to accept, just 60 years down the line, that we are once again subject to the whims and fancies of the Western powers? I wish to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, that when the Northern Alliance, because India worked very closely with Northern Alliance, and I worked personally very closely with Ahmed Shah Massoud, who was my guest a few days before he was assassinated in Delhi. I do believe that the origins of Taliban were in the direct national interests of the United States of America, who wanted Taliban to be a kind of a secret force hitting at the evil empire. And as my distinguished fellow panelist Imran Khan would know, General Babar in the Bhutto regime days, I won't go further, Taliban was created. The Taliban creation is a direct consequence of the union of U.S. national interests and Pakistan's thirst for money and recognition. You cannot wish away the thing. The roots or the seed of the evil lies elsewhere. If India can be what it is today, I have no doubt in my mind that so can Pakistan be. And Taliban is not a problem, though the general today, who's the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan, General Kayani, has said that so far as the Taliban are concerned, they are our strategic reserve against India. We can deal with that situation. That is a Western Taliban. How can there be an Afghan Taliban and a Pakistani Taliban? These are all born of the compulsions of the national interests of the United States of America. When the Northern Alliance first drew the Taliban out of Kabul, India was kept out of it until I sent my ambassador, and we were told that now the Germans will teach the Afghans policing, the British will do the district administration, the United States will work to train the Afghan army, and ladies and gentlemen, I wish to belittle no great country, but that the Italians will teach the Afghans law. This is a matter of record. How am I to accept the seriousness of this? These are the origins of the whole situation. There is a very wise statement here by my very learned colleague Farzana Sheikh when she says, Pakistan was born out of a questionable thesis that Muslims are a separate nation. They are not a separate nation. They are very much integral to the whole of South Asia, because I believe fundamentally and profoundly that if there is to be a renaissance and a resurgence of true Islam, it's in South Asia. But the country got divided, and we have a Pakistan. I wish them well. We will work with Pakistan. India will work. I have held responsibility. I don't have executive responsibility now. But I'm committed to working for restoration of sanity and peace in the whole of South Asia. But we cannot do it if external influences continue to be a force and a factor in the region. It is ironic that a country born for Islam should now be saddled with Islam as a problem. If Islam was in danger when undivided India existed, then how is it that that danger continues when there is a country for Islam? There is another perplexing reality, which is that the entire West, soon after 1947, treated Pakistan as a kind of an extension of its national interest when the Cold War had just occurred. How is it that that which was an ally of the Western powers has today become an adversary? It is not for Pakistan or India to answer this question. It is really for the Western powers to reflect somewhere the failure of the policies. Somewhere it is the failure of the policies of the Western powers that have brought this situation about. My distinguished colleague Imran Khan spoke of drone attacks. Drone attacks are a direct and a violent assault on the sovereignty of Pakistan. If Pakistan continues to accept it because the national interests of the United States of America or of the UK are involved, then we in India certainly rue the day when this kind Imran, they are 8,500 miles away. We are not even 8.5 minutes away from each other. I could continue in this vein for a long time, but India's role, Project India, India does have a role. I recognize that role, and as a member of Parliament, independent now in the Indian Parliament, I commit myself to playing whatever is required to restore peace and sanity and stability in the entire region, certainly in Pakistan and in Bangladesh. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.